Hello everybody, and oh boy have I got a treat for you today. This is the Sd.Kfz.234-4, which I'm just going to be referring to as the Puma with the 75mm gun mounted on it. So, this is a reward vehicle for completing the summer challenges for this year. I never saw myself getting this vehicle, to be honest, but as events unfolded that allowed me to get it, and also the SPAA as well, I don't know whether it's Korean or Vietnamese, whatever the fuck it is. I've got that as well, so I'll be doing a review video of that, although I'm going to be waiting until Scooter gets back to do that one. So, what have we got here then? Let's start with looking at, let's do the stat card first, mix it up a bit, shall we? Okay, so this vehicle gets a 75mm Pak 40/3 L46 cannon with 36 rounds of ammunition, and an MG42, which is 30 caliber 7.92, 2,000 rounds of ammunition. Turret rotation speed is 10.3 degrees per second. Do not let this throw you. The turret does not rotate 360 degrees, it only rotates maybe 45 degrees in either direction. Reload rate of 7.1 seconds, which is outstanding. -5 degrees of gun depression and 22 degrees of gun elevation. Hull armor is 30 degrees at the front, 8 degrees at the side, and 10 degrees at the rear. I think that's what that's saying. Turret armor, 14 degrees to the front, 14 at the side, 10 at the rear. This is an open top vehicle, so technically the only one of those that you need to be interested in is the front armoured thickness. 11.7 tons with a 210 horsepower engine at 2200 RPM. Max speed is 90 kilometers an hour. Once again, as with a lot of vehicles, this is on road going downhill. I should apologise, by the way, before we go any further. I'm rather ill at the moment. My throat is playing up, so if I sound awful, that's why. Maximum inclination is 13 degrees. This is appallingly bad. Although we're used to this with the normal Puma, it doesn't climb very well, just because it has wheels rather than tracks. If you've watched the video I did on the Puma a while ago when the patch for that first released, there was bits where me and Scooter were having to tow cable one another and pull one another up hills and so on. It was an absolute nightmare. Okay, so reward is 248%, which is 1.24, which is times 100 plus 100, so times 200. And the reward for Lions is 1 times 2 times 100. Pretty good for the rank that it is and the battle rating. 3.0 battle rating, rank 2 vehicle, remember. Modifications, as this is a reward vehicle, treated as a premium, so you get all of this straight off the get-go. We get Panzer Grenade 39 ammunition. This is all I fired out of the gun so far, and it seems to work perfectly fine for me. 146mm of penetration at this battle rating. That's pretty bloody good, with a TNT equivalent inside the shell, so that's always nice. Heat, not really a fan of low tier heat, to be honest, but sure. 80mm of penetration at any range at a 90-degree angle. APCR, good for punching through those pesky KVs and God knows what else you might be fighting. 146mm of penetration at 100 meters, and some HE for killing artillery trucks, and that's about it really. Okay, so let's look at the armor, or lack thereof. Front of the tank, I'm going to skip over this fairly quickly. The armor is pretty much irrelevant. 30 degrees at the front, apart from there where it's 15 degrees, and 8 degrees there. This is the transmission box, I believe. Side, this acts as a sort of spaced armor, but it's nothing to be shouting about. It's 4mm thick, with the side of the tank being 8mm thick, and the lower part being 8mm thick. Again, 8mm thick here, bit of spaced armor there, 14.5mm thick around the crew, which is nice, although it's not going to save them, and 8mm thick there. Side of the gun shield is 4mm thick. I believe it's 4mm thick everywhere. Yes, it is. The rear, as you can see, cannon breech and the crew are all exposed because it's a open top vehicle. The ass of it's 10mm thick. The wheel acts for some reason as spaced armor, but I don't think that's really going to make much of a difference. It's not going to be ricocheting anything. So the interior, I feel sorry for this bloke. He is going to be incredibly uncomfortable. led there like that, especially with his head resting on all the ammunition there mounted right in the middle of the bloody vehicle. So, driver sat at the front, as you would expect. Transmission goes right the way front to back, because you have 4 different sets of 2 wheels, for 8 in total. Ammunition is in the centre, as I just said. Gunner is here. Whoop. Commander is here. Cannon breech and the machine gun and what have you is all at the top of the thing, at the top of the gun shield. Engine mounted in the rear, with the transmission connected to the engine here via this transfer box. Radiator, fuel tank. It's all very fairly standard stuff. Yeah. Bearing in mind, you don't want to get hit in this tank. Well, I need to stop saying tank. It's not a tank. It's a fucking wheeled tank destroyer. You don't want to get hit, because you get hit in the front, kills the driver, hits the ammo rack, dead. Hit in the side, kills these 2. Only got 1 crew member left, dead. Hits the engine, sets the tank on fire. Do that more than too many times, tank burns up. It's a complete mess, really. Although it is fun to drive. It's really fun to drive. So, I've got some gameplay footage coming up after this, as I always do. So I will see you there. I'll try to look at some information about this vehicle if I can, so that when I record that I'll slip that in. Some of you might find it interesting. Either way, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the gameplay footage. And I am back. Here's the first piece of gameplay footage of the 75mm Puma. I've taken 25 rounds of standard ammunition and 10 rounds of APCR, just in case I need them, although I don't use any in this match. As you can see, you know, due to the lack of decals on this tank at the moment, this is the first game I played in it. You'll see me take a much more aggressive playstyle than I would say is needed for this sort of vehicle, due to the lack of armour and very good gun, but without a very good gun arc. It suits the drive to this position, stop, ambush enemy tanks sort of playstyle. It's an ambush attacker. I wouldn't, well, actually, come to think of it, I wouldn't even go as far as to say an attacker. Just, it plays defensively better than it plays attackingly. Nice driving by me there. Sarcasm, I've got it. I am glad that they decided to add the MG42 to this tank. I'm going to keep referring to it as a tank just because it's a slip of the tongue, so please take that with a pinch of salt. I know it's not a tank, you know it's not a tank, let's just move on. So, we're moving up here towards B, using the manoeuvrability of this thing, over mostly flat terrain. We're getting a good 47-48 kilometers an hour on sand, over bumps and crests and ridges and stuff, so the manoeuvrability of the thing is a testament to that. The enemy team is capping B, so I'm going to see what we have here. Can't see anything in the cap circle at the moment, but I'm going to keep looking. Use the building for cover. Yeah, there's a BT in the cap circle. I don't know whether it's a BT7 or a BT5, but he's in my cap. Takes a shot at me. I don't know what happened to that shot. That should have killed me, really. I can only assume that it hit at a very weird angle. Another BT coming straight towards me. Back the tank up. Fire. Fire a little bit too soon. It hits his track, takes his track off. Back up quickly around the corner behind the bush. Not that that'll protect me, but some cover is better than nothing. Take another shot. Straight through the front of the tank. Execute him. So that's 2 kills already. Keep capping. Get some points. The artillery is going to be a bit of an issue for you in this vehicle. Obviously because it's open topped. And all of your crew is below and behind where the gun is. Nobody, well, there's only 3 crews, so you only need an artillery shell to pierce the side of the tank or hit you on the, I'd say on the roof, but hit you where the gun is at a downward angle, and it'll take out 2 of your crew, and if that doesn't kill you, it'll definitely hit the ammo rack, which will kill you. Very much like the Panzer IIJ in this regard, the Panzer IIH, sorry. Having open top vehicle does cause issues such as that. Time for a little bit of downhill rallying action now. I did have second thoughts while I was doing this, concerned that I was going to get stuck, but thankfully I managed to get through. We're now heading towards the next cap. Alright, so a little bit of history about this tank while we're waiting for our next engagement. As far as I'm aware, and this is off the top of my head, so please feel free to correct me in the comments if you want to. I'm most happy to learn. I always am. There were 3 or 4 different variants of the Puma. The first one, the -1, or /1 rather, almost flipped the vehicle there, had, I believe, an autocannon, either a 20 or 30mm autocannon, and was designed for anti-infantry roles. The second version, the /2, which we have in the game in the standard tech tree, had the 50mm. The /3 had a short-barreled 75mm gun, much like we see on the Panther 4 F1, which was more or less designed for firing high explosive. It wasn't to engage vehicles or tanks, it was just to take out infantry that were dug in or in buildings. And then we have the /4, which is what we now have as the reward vehicle, what I'm driving now, with the 75mm pack gun, which I must say does outstandingly well at taking out vehicles. At a 3.0 battle rating, it's absurd how good it is. I don't think you'll need the APCR much for otherwise just engaging heavy tanks. So we're satting A now, have a quick look around, see if there's anything around us. I do like the way this vehicle looks as well, although that's very much an acquired taste. Won't have any issues taking this cap, nothing seems to be challenging us. Should have been more careful there, didn't really want to knock the tree over, but because you're not able to rotate on the spot, this will become apparent in a minute, you need to move the hull, or move the chassis rather, to actually get the gun on target a lot of the time, and it can cause you problems. Small Russian light tank, I think that's a T-50, puts a shot into the side of me, takes out my gunner, I spray him with my machine gun to try and mark him, but he takes me out. And we're on to our next game. This is on Poland! Yes, Poland! I now have decals on my vehicle. This was a much later game. My OCD went mad when I realised that the Balkenkreuz, the cross decal that I have on the side, has also gone onto the gun shield. This isn't a massive issue, of course, but I find it irritating nonetheless. When I get the marks of distinction for this tank, I will probably just use the 2 extra slots to put one on either side rather than pressing the double thing. I know what I mean. You know what I mean. English is hard sometimes, especially when you feel like I do at the moment. So, I've decided to go for the south spawn. Going through the town is not a particularly good idea in this vehicle, due to, and we'll keep coming back to this, the lack of armour. So I'm going to keep pushing up, trying to get around the back of the town if I can. That's my objective in my head anyway, that's what I want to do. Not doing too bad here, 34 kilometers an hour uphill on dirt. 36, 37. Compared to the one in the tech tree, and it's probably tied up with the upgrades for the one in the tech tree, to be fair. But I don't seem to have as many issues driving this up hills as I do with the one in the tech tree. The one in the tech tree, as I said earlier, in one of my older videos where I first covered the one in the tech tree, I showed that me and Scooter were having to work together in order to use our tow cables to pull one another up hills. So one of us would sit at the top while the other person was at the top of the hill, and we'd drive down as quickly as possible, connect the tow cable, The other person will drive up the other side. I haven't noticed there's this 30 off to my left yet, by the way. Take out the M4 or M8, I think that was. Spray him with my machine gun. I don't think he's noticed me either, but he's running away one way or another. Spin the hull around, don't quite get the gun on target. That was a clutch shot, to be fair. I should have aimed, but... Take aim, pull the trigger. That's 2 kills again. I think this will be one of the vehicles that people use for pushing cap points. I will cover this in a video at some stage, but close air support is definitely the meta for ground forces at the moment. People, even in high tier battles, they'll use a small, fast mobile tank. For the Russians, the BT-5 and 7 is quite popular. They don't want to get kills, they just want to get as many cap points as possible to respawn in a ground attack aircraft, which, if they're any good, will get them enough kills and enough points in order to keep playing in the battle, get enough spawn points to keep playing for a long time. I haven't spotted that off to my left yet. Did you see it? Yeah, there's 2 there. So the Crusader is my first target. You see me trying to move the hull there to get the gun on target. Excuse me. Okay, so that's the Crusader down. I can see the T-34 over there in the town. I decided to take a shot at him first, try my luck. My eye is not quite in with the American German guns. I've been far too used to using the Russians recently. And there I go. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want to, or dislike if you don't.